morning, everybody. How are we all? Are we a little bit warm this morning? If you're in the UK, you are probably experiencing some really beautiful weather. We've certainly got some very beautiful weather here in Dorset this morning. Welcome to Technique Tuesday, everybody. For those of you that don't know, Technique Tuesday comes to you live because we've been broadcasting live ever since the beginning of lockdown. And even now that restrictions have been lifted in the UK, it's too much fun to not broadcast to you live via Facebook at 10 o'clock every Tuesday morning. If you are watching me live, do just pop a little hello in the comments. I have them down here in front of me, and we'll try to get to the shout outs. I'm going to give us a minute or so just to get everybody in the room. Let's see who's in the room already. Ali D, good morning, my lovely. How are you? Beatrice, good morning. Jill, good morning. Christine is saying good morning, Ali and everyone. Sandy is saying good morning. Pauline is saying that she made it. Congratulations, Pauline. Well done. Carolyn, Thyra, Jan, Tony. Who else have we got? Lovely Linda is in the room. Jane is saying that she's melting in East Cheshire. I'm melting a little bit in Dorset as well, has to be said. Lynn, Jacqueline from the Netherlands, good morning, my lovely. And lots of Ali's in the room. You wait for one Ali and then three come along at once. And you're all saying hello, which is marvellous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me live. We've probably got several audiences at the moment. We've got our live audience that are watching on Facebook and commenting. You might be watching this on YouTube, and if you would like to see the comments, just pop over to my Facebook page, Alison Seaboard Artist, and you'll be able to watch the video with the comments alongside. You might also be watching this via my blog, in which case it will have forwarded you to YouTube, and there'll be a little bit of extra information there because I tend to write the blog after the broadcast. Who else is in the room? Oh, we are scattered all over the globe this morning. Good morning, Claire in Edinburgh, Susan, Anne, Sally. Oh gosh, here we go. Julie, good morning, Julie. Julie is in Melbourne in Australia. Thank you very much for joining us. That's very kind of you. Mandy is saying I'm looking very glam. That's very kind. I did not, that was not intentional, but that's very sweet of you to say. Jane, Helen, Linda, Beck's melting in France. Oh gosh, yes. Wendy, good morning. And Vivian, thank you all so much for tuning in. That's very kind of you. And thank you for continuing to comment. It's lovely because it makes me feel like I'm not just talking to my video camera, that there are other people on the end of it. So today is just quite a quick Technique Tuesday. Why is it a quick Technique Tuesday? Because I'm making the attempt to be sort of in two places at once. If you are watching me on Tuesday the 11th of August and you are an SAA member, then at 11 o'clock, pop over to the SAA's community page because I will be doing a demonstration that is pre-recorded so that we don't get any kind of internet gremlins, but I will be available live in the chat room so that you can talk to me. I won't be distracted by my painting, and then if you have any questions about what I'm doing, then you can put them in the little chat room and we can talk about them. What am I doing over for that demonstration today? A little bit different for me because I'm painting in oils, water mixable oils, but oils nonetheless. And so that's quite a new venture for me. If you've seen a past Technique Tuesday, you saw me start a portrait of one of my chickens. So it's a bit of an ongoing experiment for me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where that adventure takes me and for all the things that are going to go with it. Who else is... Jane has spotted that my hair clip is kind of pertinent. Yes, if you can't find a hair clip, shove a paintbrush in your hair. Right, so the things that I want to share with you today are just a few really quick techniques for how to paint cliffs or how I paint cliffs. So let me take you to the overhead cam and you can see the sort of thing that I'm talking about. So here we have a painting that we did in a workshop recently. So we did Pembrokeshire Coast. So we've got obviously a lovely cliffscape and some water, sky and a tiny little lighthouse. Now there are lots and lots of techniques that have gone into this painting, but the thing that I wanted to draw your attention to today was the way that I like to do my kind of rocky cliff faces. Now this is a very mixed media technique. Let me pick up this painting and I can hold it right up to the camera for you so that you can see, yes, we've got a bit of collage going on there, and yes, we've got a little bit of brusher going on there. But, ooh, hello. But in and amongst this, you'll see that there is some texture applied, particularly over on this side. So how have I done that? Well, I've done that with watercolour ground, but I wanted to share 3 different ways that you can get that kind of rocky, craggy look in your mixed media. So true to form, of course, we have a little tester sample card set here, and I've got 3 different things for you to look at, 3 different products. So this is Saunders Waterford watercolour paper. Now this isn't the high white, this is the traditional white, and the reason that I've chosen that for this demonstration this morning is so that you can see the white products that I've actually added on the top, so that you can see them nice and clearly. And like I said, I've got 3 different things for you here. I've got watercolour ground, so that is this product. This is, look at the state of that, honestly. This is Daniel Smith watercolour ground. This is titanium white. And as you can probably see if I move that around in the camera, it's quite a thick layer. Now, when we're using this in workshops, I tend to encourage you to put a thin layer on. But actually for this, we've had the luxury of beautiful weather so that it's been nice and warm in order for it to dry. And I prepared these for you yesterday, so I've got a much kind of heavier layer. Now, how did I do that? I loaded up a back of a palette knife and I dragged it over the surface. Very simple. I wasn't precious about it. I didn't get all pernickety about it. I simply dragged it over the surface. So you can see we've got quite a lot of texture. Now, what's interesting about watercolour ground is actually this is the end of a pot of watercolour ground, and it thickens as you get towards the end of the pot. So I tend to have 2 different pots on the go. I have a brand spanking new pot where the consistency is quite thin, and then I have an old pot. You'd never have guessed that was old, would you? Where you can see it's kind of gone all sticky and gooey, but perfect for cliff faces. Oh, let's get that lid on. So that's the watercolour ground. This is Gesso. So Gesso, traditionally a product used for priming canvases or priming surfaces for acrylic and oil painting. The one that I have used is the Pebbio variety, but that's simply because it's the first one I put my hand on yesterday. It's quite thin in its consistency. Gessos tend to vary. And again, I've done exactly the same thing. I've dragged my palette knife over the top. So it's not quite as thick as the watercolour ground, but still a bit of texture. And then the last one, applied in exactly the same way with my palette knife, is white acrylic. So this is not an expensive white acrylic at all. It's not even titanium white, it's a mixing white. It's Dale Rowley's Graduate, so it's designed with economy in mind. And again, I've dragged it over the surface with my palette knife so that you can see, if I just get that into the light, you can see I've got a bit of texture there. I also lifted my palette knife off the surface a little bit to get a sort of sticky texture. Now, why have I used those 3? I have used those 3 to show you the difference between what happens when you lay watercolour over the top, because you get 3 very different effects. Watercolour ground is designed to simulate watercolour paper as close as it possibly can. So you will find that it is quite absorbent and will take the colour over the top. Gesso has got a certain amount of plasticizer in it, so you will find that it part accepts the colour and part repels the colour. And then acrylic, because that dries to a plastic film, you will discover that that actually repels the colour quite a lot. How can I show you that this is the thing? I have got one of my favourite watercolour colours here, certainly a favourite colour for rock, and that is Jane's Grey. Jane's Grey is a Daniel Smith colour. It is a combination. Now that we have been talking a lot about pigments on Technique Tuesday, I feel that I can sort of talk about this a bit more. This is PB29 and PBR7, and effectively what that is ultramarine and burnt sienna mixed together. But I have to say, in all the years that I've tried mixing ultramarine and burnt sienna together, I've never got close to this colour. So it's a bit of a shortcut colour for me. Marion is saying, good morning, Marion. Anne, I tried your suggestions of DIY gesso using polyfiller and white acrylic. It's meant I've painted over the rubbish canvas. Excellent, good stuff, Anne. Yeah, there's always a DIY equivalent. So there's my Jane's Grey. As you can see, it's a colour I use a lot. And I'm going to just pop a little bit of water onto that because everything in the studio is drying at the speed of sound today. And what I'm going to do is I'm very simply going to apply some colour over the top of them, and then I'm going to hold them up to the camera so that you can see exactly what effect those textures has on my colour. So let's load my brush up really well. Pull that down a little bit more into shot, Ali. And then what I can do is drag that colour. Worth putting a little bit of water in with it too. But you'll soon see how you get the lovely hits and misses, and because it's so textured, the colour's going to kind of sit in the troughs. And because we've got a lovely spectacular Daniel Smith granulating colour, that's going to really kind of show up the properties of that paint really well. And obviously, whilst we are talking about cliffs today, that is not exclusive a texture to cliffs. You might want to do tree bark or rust or all sorts of things that we have done with that combination of products before. So that's the watercolour ground. Let's move on to the gesso. So loading my brush up with my Jane's Grey and swiping that over the gesso, and you will soon see how it starts to repel it. Over here, can you see how the watercolour ground took it on? But over here, can you start to see how it pushes that colour away? And that's what I mean by part repelling it and part taking the colour on. And I have to say, you'll find quite a few artists that use gesso and watercolour together because of this effect. So what you can get are some really lovely, delicious, meaty darks where it hits the watercolour paper next to the gesso where it's partly repelling it. Last but not least, we'll go for the white acrylic. Now, because acrylic dries as a film, it should repel it really quite dramatically. And there you go. You can see as I paint it over the top, it doesn't want to sit on the surface. It's finding any way that it can to push that colour away. Where it is settling, it's kind of settling more into the cracks and fissures. And actually, if you compare the white acrylic there with the gesso, you can see kind of the three stages that I'm talking about. This accepts it, this partly accepts it and partly repels it, and this repels it fully. So what you get is an incredible kind of combination of textures. And of course, you don't have to use just one. You can combine them, so you could lay down quite a lot of texture with your watercolour ground, a little bit of gesso for a bit of repulsion, and then maybe some white acrylic over the top. In previous workshops that I have done, we have used the white acrylic for the tops of mountains to get that kind of snowy peak. Now, people are sharing some of their experiences. Let's see what we've got. Good morning, Carol. Jane saying, I did my swatches the other day and discovered I had 4 blues that had exactly the same pigment, all different names and manufacturers. I will now always check the pigments before ordering any paint. Lesson well learned. Jane, I'm glad that was useful for you. If you don't know what Jane and I are chatting about, then please do go back over to my blog, which is on my website, alisonseaboard-fineart.co.uk/Ali's blog, or just go to the website and click on Ali's blog in the menu. And you will see that we had quite a discussion about pigments and why it's so important to get those right. Good, Jane, I'm glad that worked for you. Fantastic. Marion said, I've primed a piece of laminate floorboard with watercolour ground gesso and coarse aqua primer and can't wait to see the effects. Marion, neither can I. Neither can I. Will you share those results with me or with us on the Learning to Paint page on Facebook if that's a success, or even if it's not a success, because it's always useful when somebody else has a go with something and you're thinking, I wonder if that works. Nothing like seeing somebody else do that first. That's really exciting. Love painting on unusual surfaces. And it means it kind of opens up a world, doesn't it, of all sorts of things that you can paint on. Fantastic. What else have we got? Hello, Laurie. Good morning. Good morning, Cheryl. You're not late at all. It's fine. We're still chatting. We're still here. It's not a problem. Viv saying, exceedingly helpful. Good. I will be getting some of these as they are magnificent. Oh, thank you very much, Viv. Word of the day, like magnificent. So I hope that that's helpful to you. Claire is saying, great techniques. I haven't used any of these before. I need to try them. The thing is as well, if you're a kind of mixed media painter and you've got some of those mediums kicking about in the, I was going to say in the back of the cupboard. This is my cupboard. Try them out. Paint them onto a surface. I would do them in the same way that I have done so that you've got consistency. Paint them all onto the same surface. Use the same colour over the top of them, and then you've got something to compare, haven't you? And just see what happens, because you never know. You might be unlocking the perfect texture for your next subject. Darren, these are amazing textures, thank you. Oh, Darren, that's very kind of you. Nice to see you as well. Good morning. Marina's saying will do, and Beatrice is loving the effects. Good, excellent. I'm very glad to hear that. Well, maybe do some more of that if you fancy some more of that. What I will just do now that you have seen those is take you back to the overhead camera just as they're drying, because they do change. So you can see the watercolour grounds really absorbed some of that colour. And you can see that the gesso has part repelled it, and you can see that the acrylic has fully repelled it now. And then if I get you my little Pembrokeshire painting back into shot again, you can see where I've used those. So let's hold it back up to the camera, and you can see very clearly now, can't you, where I've used those and why I've used them. So I've gone back over the top of my collage and I've created those kind of textures and the peaks and troughs. I've gone up here into the kind of grassy area too. And then rather than it just being an effect, hopefully you can kind of get it into your paintings, and then it can cut out some of the hard work for you. But these kind of rocks, cliffs, sea, shoreline, any of those kind of things are some of my favourite textures to paint. And we're very lucky here in the UK, aren't we? Because we get to interpret these. Not going down to the coast myself at the moment because I believe it's rather busy, but sometimes in the autumn and winter I go down there and take much more dramatic photographs, and hopefully these techniques will work for those. So I hope that's been useful to you. My apologies that it's a little bit of a short one today. I've got some things to share with you just to go back over it. Don't forget, if you're an SAA member, to pop over to the community page at 11 o'clock, and I will be there in pre-recorded mode, but I will be there live in the chat so that you can talk to me about the oil painting demo. And don't be afraid to ask any questions. No questions are ever stupid questions, I promise you, because you're probably asking the very thing that somebody else is thinking, and someone else is going, oh, phew, someone else has asked that. I'm very grateful for that. Who else have we got in the room? Morning, lovely Dee. And lots of people saying that they're going to try these things out. So that's really good. That's what I'm here for. Next week, it's a rather exciting week. So for those of you that don't know about Artist Demo Days is a combination of myself, Matthew Palmer, Jeremy Ford, Denise Allen, Ali Hargreaves and Sharon Hurst. The six of us got together to kind of form our little collaborative. We have a website now, artistdemodays.co.uk, and obviously we have our Facebook group, and on that Facebook group we've been taking it in turns to kind of curate the page for a week, and anything goes. We've had some amazing things happen. It's Matthew's turn this week. He did some rather beautiful demonstrations yesterday, but next week is my week, and I got all sorts of things planned for you. So Technique Tuesday next week is actually, I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the morning yet, but at 6 o'clock next Tuesday, UK time, I will be doing a demonstration both on this page and over on the Artist Demo Days page of a poppy seed head on black paper. And during the week I'm going to share with you all sorts of things about my inspiration, and I'm going to try and show you around the studio a little bit, show you some of my crazy animals, and I hope you can join me throughout the week. I will be on that Facebook page every single day. You can't get rid of me, can you? Just can't get rid of me. Lots of people enjoying the demo from today. Please do keep in touch, won't you? Don't stop messaging me and emailing me and commenting. And if you would like to be part of a very supportive community, then pop over to my Learning to Paint with Alison C. board page, because it's getting really big now, that page, and it's so chatty and friendly and supportive. Lots of people sharing what they do. And if you've had a bad painting day, pop over there, because there will always be somebody to commiserate with. Now, you take care, everybody. If you are in the UK and you are sweltering a little bit, I hope that you stay cool. And I will catch up with you very, very soon with whatever it is I decide to share with you next time I'm live. See you very soon. Take care, everybody. Keep being lovely to each other, and in the shade, I think, today. Bye-bye.